The immortal John Hancock here, and today I'm celebrating and remembering Mario Brothers on Atari consoles and computers. And so today I've been reminiscing about kind of my experiences with playing the classic arcade game on Atari. That's right. A lot of people grew up with the Nintendo version and played the arcade. I had a lot of experiences playing on the Atari consoles as well. And these ports of the classic arcade game are often overlooked, and some of them are amazing. So in today's video, I'm going to show you these 4 different versions of the timeless classic and give you my thoughts about them. So sit back, relax, and I hope you enjoy the video. I think it's important to reference the original arcade classic and show you what that looked like first. And so here it is. This is a game I played quite a bit in the 80s when I would go into town to Redding, California, playing this at various pizza parlors. And you know, it was 2-player fun. I would either play this, Donkey Kong, or Robotron 2084 were some of my top favorite games that I enjoyed playing back in the day. And so if you haven't played this arcade classic, it is a lot of fun. This was the first game in which Mario was a title character and had 35 levels. I don't know exactly when I played Mario Brothers on the 2600. It must have been the late 80s, but I was blown away because it was just a great pick up and play Atari 2600 game. You know, the thing to remember back in the day, especially in the late 80s, is that Nintendo was still fairly new and Atari 2600 games were rather cheap. Now, I mostly played my Atari 2600 at my cousin's house. And so, you know, at my cousin's house, they had a stack of Atari 2600 games. And I remember playing this a lot because I really enjoyed the arcade game. And this had enough of the arcade feel. It's missing several things from the arcade, but I enjoyed it. Now, the graphics are rudimentary, but the gameplay was fun. There's actually, after 99 levels, it rolls back to the first level, but it has several of the enemies and features of the arcade classic. And, you know, talking about this game with my friends that grew up with the 2600, they agree. They agree that this is a great game. It's a pick up and play type game. I still play this game to this day. It's an example of a timeless classic on the 2600 that's still a lot of fun to play. Now, it is not great looking, but for a 2600 game, it does a great job of capturing that arcade experience. Here's what a complete copy of Mario Brothers for the 2600 looks like. There are several variations, and it is getting harder to find these days. The 5200 version of Mario Brothers definitely looks better, but I played so much of the original 2600 version it was hard for me to totally get into this version, as by the time I was playing this, I had already experienced the wonderful Atari 7800 version. Now, there's going to be people out there, this might be their favorite version of Mario Brothers, but you know, for me, I was mostly playing this with the original Atari 5200 controller, which is known to not be the best. Now, there's several alternatives to using that controller now to play this game. And so, going back and playing it a little bit more, I actually respect this version of Mario Brothers a lot more. Now, it's very green, but it does have a lot of additional details that the original Mario Brothers on the 2600 didn't have, and I appreciate that. And I know there's fans of this version out there. Have you played this version? If I had a good working controller for my 5200, I would be happy with this version. And you know, I think at the end of the day, I think it plays good. It looks okay. There's other versions I think look better, but you know, it's a solid additional game for the limited library of the Atari 5200. This game is a little bit easier to find rather than the uncommon Mario Brothers for the Atari 2600. Also, if you go loose cart, it is very affordable. So here is a complete copy of what Mario Brothers for the 5200 looks like. I didn't grow up with this version of Mario Brothers, but I did pick it up, and it was actually one of my very first video games in my retro gaming collection in the 90s. And so I got to experience it, and boy, I was blown away by how good and how well this game played on the Atari 7800. Now, let's talk about that sound. The sound is not great, as you know, it's essentially using the sound chip of the original 2600. Ugh. So, you know, turn it down and you will enjoy this game a lot more. It's not perfect. Some people do appreciate this version of the game over the original NES version. You know, I grew up with the NES version, so I really like that one too. But this is good. Plays great. I actually like this one better than the Atari 5200 version of it, and because I played this one more. When it comes to gaming, the Atari 7800 is often overlooked for various reasons. You know, it just came out at a bad time. It got completely destroyed by the super successful Nintendo Entertainment System. But the arcade classics that were on the Atari 7800 are solid, and I do recommend going back and playing this version of it. Here's my copy of 7800 Mario Brothers that I've had in my collection about 25 years now, and I really enjoy this version of the game. If you want a treat, play Mario Brothers on the Atari XE, and it's an amazing arcade port by Sculptured Software. It even has the introductions here. You know, and back in the day, back in the late 80s, you know, this was amazing. This, you know, came at a time in which, you know, the Atari 8-bit line was being phased out for newer computers, and you know, this is just a great version of the arcade game. Now, is it perfect? No. Some of the sprites are a little big, but this game has additional things in it that no other version had, including stalactites. Just another example of, you know, a great game on, you know, essentially an 8-bit computer line that was being marketed as a console, the XEGS. And, you know, this is probably the hardest version to get of anything shown today, but it's definitely worth checking out, even in emulation. Now, also, I need to mention that there are several updated versions of the games that I showed today, but I wanted to show the originals and the classics as they were released by various companies, and just want to say I remember playing these versions of the games. Here's my copy of Mario Brothers for the XEGS. What was your favorite version that I showed today? Comment below, and I want to say thank you so much for the ongoing support. If you're new to the channel, hit that like and subscribe button and click the bell, as I'm uploading videos every week. I'm having a lot of fun on my channel, and I thought I'd talk about Atari and connect it to a timeless classic, one of my favorite arcade games of all time, and I still enjoy playing some of these ports to this day, especially the 2600 one. Even though it looks simplistic, I have so many great memories of playing that on my 2600. Thank you so much for watching. You folks are wonderful and beautiful. Keep it positive. This is the Immortal John Hancock, and you take care.